Hello and welcome to Artful Loving. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the infatuation trap and what we can do to avoid falling into that old chestnut. So stick around. Hi, I'm Nick Tovey, relationships and intimacy counselor, coach and educator, and author of the book The Revolutionary Man. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're reminded to participate in this conversation, as it will be an ongoing conversation and it's a bloody good one to be a part of. If you're interested in finding out a little bit more about me, then go and check out my website, nicktovey.com. And if you're interested or want to know more about how we can work together, then please just shoot me an email through the website. So, the infatuation trap, what I'm calling the infatuation trap. We've all had that experience, I'm sure, when in a new encounter with a new human and a new person, and all these beautiful feelings that we get when we meet somebody new, and it feels like this is amazing, this person's the one for me, or at least for now. It can become quite overwhelming in a lot of ways, and this can be a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful feeling, but it can lead to problematic areas and behaviors and situations, and I'm sure we've all had that experience of falling into that trap and getting a little bit down the road and going, oh my God, what happened? And where did I go? Where did my sense of common sense go in that experience of infatuation? And that's a very typical experience when we have this experience of infatuation, is that we lose our sense of center. That's one of the things that really sets infatuation aside from just the beautiful experience of attraction and love and all of those things. Yeah. Of course, it's beautiful when we meet somebody new and we have this experience of newness and novelty, and we can become quite enamored by this new person. It's very exciting, and the sex is often great if we're having sex at that point. And it's very easy for us to then put all of our eggs in the basket of this new person, yeah? And in that process, we lose our sense of center. We lose our sense of self. And this is really the indicators that are telling us, aha, we are infatuated with this person. And I think it's important to recognize that infatuation's it's not a bad thing necessarily, but we can be enamored by somebody, we can be super attracted to somebody, we can have that experience of oh my God, this is amazing, this person's amazing. But the problem becomes when we start to lose our sense of center and lose our sense of self. And this is what then leads into the problematic areas of infatuation. So what do we do to recognize that? How can we look at our experiences and our behaviors and then be able to recognize, aha, I'm infatuated with this person. This is moved beyond the realms of common sense and just the experience of attraction and love and all of the beautiful things that happen from that. We've moved from that into the experience of infatuation, as I said, which can become problematic for us. Like I said, I think it's important to understand, to recognize that the key indicator of infatuation is losing that sense of self, losing that sense of center in self. And so what we might do is start to neglect other areas of our life, other things that are important to us, other relationships that are important to us. Let's say, for example, all of a sudden this new person comes into our life, and all of a sudden we stop hanging out with our friends, or we stop going to the gym that we've been doing so regularly, or we start to neglect our work or our studies or other aspects of our life. Other relationships, I think, is a very, very important one to notice. Yeah, these are all parts of us, parts of our life which are important to us. And all of a sudden, with this influx of this new person, which we become infatuated with, all of these other aspects of our life become less important, less necessary to invest energy into. And then, of course, we start to neglect these parts of our life, and they become that can then cause distress and stress, and we can start to all of a sudden get down the track a little bit, and we haven't been paying our bills, we haven't been showing up to the gym, we haven't been nurturing the friendships that in the way that we should do. Yeah, so other people, those relationships can then start to break down and suffer. So this is a really, really good sign that we're in a state of infatuation. We've lost our sense of self, our sense of center, and we're starting to, I think, like I said before, put all the eggs in that basket of this new person. And in some ways, what we're doing is making this person the most important thing in our life. So we're pedestaling this person. We're putting them right on this pedestal, which by very nature of that makes them more important than us. So what we can see there is there's an imbalance of power that's happening. So we're putting this person up on the pedestal, which by its very nature disempowers us as a human being. Our needs become less important than the needs of this person or the needs of this relationship. So that's a very clear indicator that we are infatuated. One of the signs of infatuation is compulsive behavior. We start to behave in ways which are driven by uncentered emotions. Yeah, when we're doing things that we wouldn't ordinarily do, or we're saying things that we wouldn't ordinarily say. Yeah, so this experience of compulsion is it's like an addictive behavior. In fact, this is very much what's going on in the experience of infatuation. It's like all of a sudden we're addicted to this person and how they or how we think they make us feel. Yeah, of course, it's beautiful to have that experience of all the brain chemistry and the feeling of attraction with another person, and it can be very addictive. It's like getting a hit of a drug, and it does. It really activates all of the brain chemistry, very similar to the experiences when we do get high from a drug or another substance, and so it's very easy to want to recreate that experience and keep it happening, particularly if it takes us away from mundane or potentially unhappy experiences that we may have been having. Yeah, and this is where infatuation is very much like an addictive drive. When we're addicted to a certain substance or a certain activity, we're grasping at that activity, chasing that experience in order to create an experience of pleasure, and often getting away from an experience of pain or suffering of some sort. And what makes addiction is that compulsive behavior that drives us to the experience of pleasure is problematic for us. It causes us some harm on the other side of the pleasure. You know, like the hangover from alcohol or drugs, the come down. That's the the harm that is the payoff of the momentary experience of pleasure that we're getting from that particular hit. And of course, we can have the same thing with a person. And so the very nature of addiction is that it's a compulsive drive towards an experience of pleasure that is potentially harmful to us, and it's very difficult for us to stop, and it starts to create crazy behavior in us. Yeah, so it's good to look at this. It's good to notice, am I behaving in a way that I would usually with this new person? Am I neglecting any other areas of our life? And it's really important to notice and to be particularly vigilant to our justifications. Addicts are really good at justifying their addiction, their behaviors. The same goes with the infatuated person. It's very easy for us to be blinded by all of the signs that are telling us we're infatuated. So we can end up neglecting very strong intuitive senses or feelings or very clear red flag experiences, like I talked about in last episode or episode before that, about when we're in that infatuated experience. It's very easy to brush aside those red flags, whether it's in the other person or in ourselves. What else is really important is to take notice of feedback that we might be getting from the people around us. Particularly important are good friends. Good friends that you're not romantically involved in. We're not in a relationship of exchange of where there's, I don't know, you're an employee or an employer of somebody. They're good friends where we're on a level playing field. They have your back. You trust them to have your back, and you trust their point of view. Good friends are very good at spotting us when we're in that infatuated experience. And a good friend is one that can really provide us that feedback, give us that reflection, show us the mirror that is that we may not be able to see ourselves because we're so drunk on the experience of this new person. We are intoxicated in infatuation. It really is that very much an intoxication experience. So listen to your friends, get the feedback, really, take note of what you're hearing. Of course, feedback can always have elements of another person's shit, another person's emotion, another person's experiences. Maybe they've had some similar experiences, or this person reminds them of their ex that in a relationship that ended badly, and so they can the feedback that we get can always be polluted by some of their own stuff, and there's often an element of truth in whatever feedback we get, no matter how much projection is in there. So it's good to be discerning, to be able to tease apart, okay, this bit's their stuff, but this bit may be true for me. And it takes guts, it takes courage, it takes a lot of humility to actually go, you know what, you're right. I'm acting like a fool, I'm infatuated, I'm head over heels drunk, intoxicated on the experience of this new person, and I'm behaving like a fool. And I'm neglecting all of these other areas of my life. Look what I've done. I haven't studied for weeks since this person's been around. I've neglected my friendships. I haven't been to the gym. I have all of these things. Whatever it is for you, whatever it is that you're neglecting, that's a really good sign that you've just brushed everything aside and you're totally and utterly infatuated with this other person. So listen to the feedback you're getting. Notice how people are behaving towards you. Ask for the feedback. There's no getting around how beautiful new love is. It is such a beautiful experience, and I'm definitely a fan of that experience. It is I like to experience the idea of diving into love rather than trying to avoid it or be too tentative to it. But I want to dive in consciously, and this is a little play with words. When I hear people talking about falling in love, to me, I don't want to fall in love. I want to dive into love. I want to consciously make a choice to go straight towards love, like it's a river running past me. I don't want to just go, and fall into it. I want to dive into that. I want to enjoy the experience, but I want to keep my sense of center. And what I don't want to do is sit on the bank and dip my toes in the river as it's going past, because that's not much fun. That is not a full experience of being immersed in the water of love. And so I'm very much a fan of full immersion, but keeping my sense of center, my sense of ground, keeping an anchor in myself, and on the earth, and not losing myself in the experience of love. To the point where it's like I've lost all connection to what's important for me. So I'm not saying let's stay on the bank. I'm not saying let's avoid going towards intimacy. Let's go straight towards intimacy with some sense of self-empowerment and self-control, watching out for any signs that this is not going to be a good place for us to go, and also keeping our center in ourself, recognizing what's important to us, and not putting all of our eggs in the basket of this new person and the new relationship. Really, really important. So have you had this experience of infatuation? What can you notice from that experience that you may have had in the past? How did you behave? How did you lose your center? What do you feel you could have done in order to create your center? Also, what have you done? Sometimes when we have that experience of infatuation, we get hurt because it doesn't work very well. It ends up smashing pieces apart and falling into a heap, And sometimes we're going to get bruised and scraped and battered by those experiences. So then next time, next relationship, next person we meet, we're very much sitting on the bank, dipping our toes in the water, trying to be a little more cautious, but also guarded in the experience. So we're not fully immersing ourselves in that river of love. And so we end up not having a very intimate, not being able to experience all of the beautiful things of intimacy that we're getting in that relationship that's available to us. And so it's like, where's the middle ground? We don't want to lose ourselves. We don't want to avoid. So how can we immerse and really feel the fullness of that experience without losing our center? Like I said, make a list of all the things that are important to you, and divide your time. Of course you want to invest some time and some energy into the new love and the new relationship. That's important, but don't put all of your time in the relationship. How can you dedicate time to the things that are important? You need to do your groceries, you need to pay your bills, you need to work, you need to study, you need to nurture your friendships, you need to exercise, you need to do all of these things. And they're very important to you as a human being, as a self in the world. So don't lose sight of those things. And like I said, get the feedback, notice, pay attention to the feedback from the world around you, from your friends, from your loved ones, from the people that really have your back, that really care and that you can trust. It is a beautiful thing, and it can be deadly. And like I said, new love is beautiful. Love is beautiful. So let's dive in. Let's dive into love. Let's not fall into love, and let's definitely not avoid it. So I hope this is useful. If this is something you recognize in yourself, you're habit of becoming infatuated, of putting this person on a pedestal, losing your sense of self, there's something here for you to look at. If you want support in that, of course, you can get in touch. If you want to know more about my work, then please get in touch. If you haven't already, go on, click the subscribe thing. I'd love to get your comments, your feedback, anything, so please put them in the comments below. And if you think this is important for somebody you know, then please share it with them. It's been great. I look forward to connecting with you in the next video. You take care and keep loving.